This week, we are going to be reviewing The Menu, new film starring Ralph Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy. We're going to be talking about it with spoilers, as usual. So we're going to get into that right now on Flicker Effect 423.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Happy Black Friday.
Happy Black Friday indeed.
So did you guys have a good Thanksgiving? It was Thanksgiving yesterday here in the U.S. So how much food did you eat approximately? About 5, 6, 7? Actually, you guys don't eat turkey, huh?
No, but still ate too much. There's plenty. There's
At that point, you don't have like a main thing that you would eat with the other stuff being kind of an accompaniment to it.
Roast out of tofu and soy. Tofu is soy, and it's got a lot of seasonings to it. They do like a stuffing filling in the middle with different like vegetables and breads and stuff like that, and then they form it into a loaf. With different types of companies that do these kind of roasts, and some of them are more turkey-ish kind of, and some of them are more ham-ish, and some of them have like breading on the outside, some of them don't. It's just kind of different companies do different things, but that's kind of the main course. And then it's like cranberry sauce, the traditional cornbread stuffing, Thanksgiving stuff. So you could, like, and at this point, we've really kind of gone off of veganism or into vegetarianism. So that definitely broadens our options for sure. We're basically just not eating meat specifically. So we had our little roast alongside of the rails, having their turkey and ham, and still ate way too much food. And then like I do a breakfast bake in the morning with hash browns and eggs and cheese, and I put some plant-based sausage and some green peppers in, and a little bit of seasoning. I kept it kind of light because the kids were having it and they don't like too much seasoning. Can't go too heavy on the seasoning for them. But and I did that in the morning, so we had that along with mimosas in the morning while we watched the Macy's parade, and so that was breakfast. And then we held off until the afternoon, late lunch, very early dinner, and just ate way too much food. Too much pie. So much pie yesterday. Too much pie. But it was delicious pie. How about you?
Well, so you guys watched the parade. You didn't watch any football or soccer? Any of the
Watched
World Cup or anything?
The World Cup, the Brazil game. Watched a little bit of that one.
yeah.
But that was kind of going on while we were eating, so we didn't watch a whole lot of it. Completely missed the Detroit Lions game, which was sad that they lost. But then watched a little bit of the Giants Cowboys game, not a lot of it, a little bit, and then we headed back to our house. So, but it's kind of. I mean, we socialize and talk. The TV's kind of on in the background for us.
Right. It is nice this year though with the World Cup. Something. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not like anti-American football or anything like that. Football's fine, but at the same time, like it's like, oh, we can watch soccer on Thanksgiving. This is I can take this.
Says the soccer fan.
Yes.
No, I
Right,
mean, like,
exactly.
I'm the same way. Like, I enjoy football, but I only enjoy watching the teams I like, and I don't care about the Detroit Lions. I definitely don't care about the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
And so, like,
Right.
for me, like, the 4 teams that played, I could have cared less about all 4 of them. So it's like, mostly on Thanksgiving, I rarely ever get a football game that I actually am like, this is my team, I gotta root, I gotta watch. Like that, like, it's once in a blue moon. It's a coin toss, So.
It's ironic that you say that, because I think I was reading an article this morning that said that this is the highest rated Thanksgiving Day games they've had, and I don't know how long it was, but I didn't read the whole
Really?
article. So apparently a lot of people who were watching these, I think it was the Dallas game, and as a matter of fact, was the highest one. was like, wow, that's it's probably because Dallas is actually doing good this year compared to
Yeah.
other years that
Yeah.
they probably played on Thanksgiving. So,
The other
and there
thing
are a
is it
lot of
was.
Cowboys fans out there.
I think it was also because it was a slightly later in the day game too, and that helps. People
Yeah,
can
they had the
eat
night game. Or
prior, and
no,
then
they
they
had the
have
second game.
yeah, they have the
Yeah.
second game. So it's like everybody can eat prior, and then while they're just kind of beached whales on the couch, watch that game. Like
Yeah.
I think
But yeah, it was a good
yeah.
matchup this year. I mean, what they were both 7-3, I think, going into that, weren't
And the
Seven
they?
and three.
Giants
Yeah.
aren't doing
Yeah.
too shabby.
Yeah.
That probably helped.
What'd you do, Bobby?
Yeah, for sure. Well, since we're talking about food, I guess that kind of fits in a little bit into the movie we're talking about this week, which is The Menu. Yeah. I remember back when the trailer first premiered for this, I kept getting it honestly confused with The Invitation. Um, Not the
No.
same movie for sure,
No.
but I do recall not seeing the trailer too much for The Menu because I knew I wanted to see it. So it was one of those I really started to try to just avoid seeing too much because you know how trailers are these days. They like to give the whole thing away. So I didn't really want to see too much. So I didn't honestly know much more than this couple and some other people were invited to an island, and that Ray Fiennes is the chef for this meal that everyone's going to be having. But I didn't know more than that, and I do remember them like all running out of the restaurant at one point, and so I was like, are they being hunted, or is this like a cannibal movie where they're going to eat other people kind of thing? I had no clue. So getting to sit down and watch the movie and actually experience it, I thought, man, I really enjoyed it quite a bit. I just thought the performances were really good. I really thought the way that the structure of the film worked really well in terms of like. Are we talking spoilers, or are we doing like just sort of a general review? We didn't really say anything.
Yeah,
Say spoilers.
I figured we were doing spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been warned if you are watching that we'll be talking spoilers. So, yeah, I liked how, and honestly, what I'm going to say isn't too much of a spoiler, but I really liked how every course there would be like a title card that described the course,
Mm.
and then you'd get into the meal itself or the meaning behind it, and that Ray Fiennes would introduce it. And I love how the tension would just build to every time because he'd always do that clap, and inevitably somebody would be thrown off by his clap, and it just got to that point where the scenes that were between Anya Taylor Joy and Ray Fiennes were always very magnetic because they were just trying to feel each other out, and Anya Taylor Joy's character just wouldn't back down from anything. So it was always very contentious when they were like sharing a scene together. So I really just enjoyed the aspects of their back and forth and seeing what would happen. And David, I had sent you after I watched the movie. I
Yeah, I
wasn't for
forgot I never
sure
responded
if
to
you had
this.
watched it. Yeah, but I had sent you a gif of a cheeseburger, and I just was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. After
Dripping
watching that
melted
movie,
cheese cheeseburger. Yes,
after
like a
watching that
4-layer
movie,
cheeseburger.
I knew
That's what I
I
was
wanted a
imagining.
cheeseburger, but I was like, you know what? That probably wouldn't be something you'd eat because you're not on the meat train right now. So I
No,
did think about that,
I
but
forget who was I watched a review or somebody that were like, yeah, they ran home and like ate an Impossible Burger, which
no,
I could totally
really.
get behind that. Like,
Yeah, I love me an Impossible Burger.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie, so I got it. I am very curious because I know all of us were really looking forward to it. So I don't know how it landed for the two of you, but I guess in this case, I will start with you, David, to see what you thought of
Oh,
the
me.
menu.
Mm-hmm.
I also really enjoyed it. I was looking forward to it. I wasn't sure what to expect. I felt like I was hearing pretty good buzz before we did finally see it ourselves, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It's one of those things where it's like you know, in one respect, I say don't take it too seriously, but at the same time, like, I don't even
Mm,
know if it's necessary to say that about this. It's just, it's a, you know, it's kind of a, it's like a thriller slash kind of borderline horror film, but
hmm
it's different. And I mean, it's like you said, it's got a bunch of great performances in it with a pretty stellar cast in the film. Um, no, it's very good. I really liked it without digging too much into it yet. So I don't know. That's my quick response. I liked it more than I think I expected to enjoy it. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, Michelle, look at you nodding your head over there. What'd you
I
think?
yeah. No, I really enjoyed the film a lot as well. I mean, I think in the pantheon of suspense, I don't know if I would say thrillers, kind of like what David was saying,
Mm,
like kind of, I guess, kind of a horror, kind of, like a tongue-in-cheek horror, I guess, or I don't know, tongue-in-cheek suspense, tongue-in-cheek thriller, tongue-in-cheek thriller, probably. In that catalog that's out in the world, I wouldn't say it's like really high in that, but it's good. It's really enjoyable, and I mean, you're watching this. You're watching the menu of the evening of the courses unfold, and it's just, especially the first couple, it's like slowly building, and then it just goes. It just kind of hits you. The one course just kind of is in your face. This is what's happening. If you hadn't gotten to this point, well, now you know this is what we're doing, and it very quickly escalates, and then from there you're just going, wow, this guy's super unhinged. And you're
mm,
realizing he's created an environment that of people that are also agreeing and becoming unhinged and are down with his the plan. And it's nice to kind of watch that unravel. And then as you're saying, like between him and Anna Taylor Joy, it's good to see her kind of question him and challenge him, but not overstep it, because she's like, he's clearly losing marbles as the evening is going on. They're slipping out, so I got to play my cards just right here and keep myself balanced on his plates of insanity, I guess. The scales of insanity.
Weights of insanity.
Like, you know, she's got to kind of weigh when she needs to kind of get, you know, say things. But no, I thought it was really good. I thought the person who was playing the, I can't think of the actress's name now. The actress who was playing, I guess, the maitre d', I guess is the best way to give her role.
Mm,
But she was the
hmm
person, she was like the second, she was the restaurant runner, basically, the person who was in charge
hmm
of what was happening. I thought she was phenomenal. What's her name? Can you
Yeah,
look it
she
up?
was great.
Hong Chow?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I've,
Yeah, she
yeah.
played Elsa. Yeah, she was a treat to watch, because you're watching her just, she is so deep in her role of what she does in his restaurant and what she does for him. And so yeah, it was fun to watch her just be so short and like, yep, this is what's happening. Yep, this is what's going
Mm.
on. Nope, you're gonna sit down. Yep, you're gonna watch this. This is what's like. It was just so enjoyable to watch her. You're like, she's crazy. Like, she's like people that you know, when
Yeah.
you're in a restaurant and you see people kind of having an argument or something, you're like, ooh, I don't want to look, but man, I don't want to talk because I got to hear everything that happens right now because she's crazy. So yeah, no, it was fun to watch a
Like
lot
when
of the
she
moments.
like when she was talking to the banker dudes and she set him down and she like whispered it in his ear. I forget exactly what she said, but more or less she said, you'll not get more than you want or and have more than you need or something. It
You'll
was
get more.
something, but
You'll
it was
get
just
more than you deserve.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
She was
and
so
he was. It's just she's just
scary.
like, and that's all I got to say. And she just walks away, and
Yeah,
you're going,
yeah.
what the gonna
She was
happen
scary.
here? And she is way scary. And then there's the whole scene like in the house where she's trying to kill Anna Taylor Joy's character, and
Oh,
you're just like, what is like? You're just like, she's completely unhinged. Like
yeah.
she's gone. Any trace of like sanity is way, way, way out there, and it was enjoyable to watch, you know. But yeah, I thought Ralph
Yeah.
Fiennes was really good in it. I was really enjoying him as chef. That really
No, it's
everybody that was performing in the film, I thought was really, really a treat to watch them in what they were doing.
Yeah.
It was fun to see everything slowly unravel.
Yeah.
It's funny too how like when the movie started, it kind of gave me vibes of The Love Boat. I don't know if you've ever watched The Love Boat, but in the
That
beginning,
one
there's
pair
always the
comes
people
in.
who get on, yeah, get onto the boat, and you kind of get a little glimpse of who they are just as
Yeah.
they're getting onto the boat, and you know like how things will certainly unravel at a certain point. Same thing, kind of like with um, Fantasy Island, or even sort of a modern day reference in a small sort of way. It would be uh, crap. I just lost the name of the show. White Lotus. White Lotus.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind
You're
of like
you
that
know
too in a way where you kind of
you're
get these
getting
little
a little
glimpses
bit
of
from
people as
pieces.
they.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
I like
nice.
how that introduction happens.
Yeah, and you're
They
definitely
look like
kind
you were
of
about to say something.
unraveling them with a little bit with that first chorus. You're kind of getting a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Right. Oh no, I don't think I was going to say anything, but I can.
Oh, it looked like you were
Well,
about to say.
what are your what are your like highlights for you? What really kind of what made you go okay?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I was going to, I couldn't put it in a word. I was saying how, like, I feel like in one sense it's a movie that can't be taken too seriously, and in certain respects, there's certain
Yeah.
aspects of the film that I don't think can be, and then there's other aspects though that are I don't
Like
know that
what?
I want to
Like
say that like. One, I think what you can take seriously about it is the message it's kind of giving about like, and we're
Yeah.
not just talking about the food industry, but like anybody who is creating something and the relationship between them and the people that are consuming what they're creating.
Correct.
And it the nice thing about like this setting and this restaurant situation is you have all these different examples of like consumers that they're making comments on and are making statements about, and it's very interesting to watch, especially the Nicholas Holt character. The I guess you could kind of
Treat.
the kind of fanboy situation. And
yeah.
when I think about that in terms of like filmmakers and having to deal with like their relationship with fans that are probably just a little too diehard, and I found that to be the most interesting. And yeah, I mean, kind of if we're going to talk about him and talk about acting, like he's he's got to be, if not the most unlikable character in the in the movie, or really
Yeah.
close. But he's as an actor he's fantastic in it too. I mean, but
Hmm.
everybody is. But then there's other aspects that are like, I guess I get where it's coming from, but it like when you think about it a little bit, it's like you think about this entire staff. I guess I mean we're supposed to be kind of looking at them as like they are so like just in line with wanting to please this chef that they are
Mm,
willing to do anything, like I guess die. I mean, and it's one
die.
thing to be like, oh, like the female cook, made the comment that, oh, she's the one that came up with this idea, right? But like it's a pretty big staff of like 10 people at
Sure.
least, and I'm like, really, all these people are willing to die just because this is the vision here?
Hmm.
But well, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You said
No,
but.
no, I go.
I was just saying, like, I think it speaks to another level of the film in the culture that happens in restaurants and the food service. When you get to this kind of an elite level, people, it gets a little culty in a weird way. I mean, like, if you watch the show The Bear on FX, which is also on Hulu, you get a very small glimpse of what the main character was working under. He's working on a brilliant chef that was Michelin starred, blah, 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 blah. And he is trying to become another one of him. And he's working hard because he thinks he's trying to prove himself. And it gets culty in that, like, this person is either going to tell you they love you, blah, 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 but that you're a piece of crap and what you're doing is horrible. It's like this weird mind game thing with chefs sometimes. And you see this in that culture, and like that's all especially like if you're in a setting where you are sleeping there, you're living there, like you're 24/7 360, like if you're there the whole time, basically in a cult. It's like a mind washing. So it's like even in restaurants, like, you know, you're leaving there at say 2 in the morning, going to get like 5 hours of sleep, getting up, getting there, starting the prep work for hours, maybe having to go to a market, get more fresh goods, continue with the prep work, and then start really work. Like it's a whole process. Like you live and breathe cooking at a restaurant of this caliber, and your sanity could very easily slip if this is literally what you're doing day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And I don't know, like it speaks to that too as well, like how people can become, they can revere a person in that position to almost a godlike esque being, and they'll do anything for the approval of this person, even if that means that they're willing to die for this person's approval, which is literally what was that course number 4 was,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But like when going back to again the fanboy Nicholas Hoult character, I guess one thing that struck me about it too is like, you know, when he has his kind of moment in the film, it's like he pulls the whole, well, let's see you cook something, right? And my first reaction to that was like, I feel like this would be something you would pull on the food critic, right? It's like someone who
Yes.
who is constantly critiquing other people's cooking, but let's see you create something. Let's, you
Right.
know, but at the same time, in the end, it works. Again, when I think about it as like a filmmaker, fanboy kind of perspective, like we have so many people who will just so quickly cancel something and destroy something because, oh, well, we wanted you to do this or do that. And
Right.
I'm sure there are a lot of filmmakers, maybe the filmmaker who made this film, I'm assuming, who would like to be like, let's see you try to pull off what you're imagining or
Right.
doing, or, you
Yeah.
know, like, so I don't know.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was something at first I was like, oh, that's interesting that he's picking this person to do the whole, like, I'm going to like make you try to make something yourself, but then it works.
And plus, David, you're also trying to rationalize the thinking of someone that's clearly not thinking straight as well, because he also decided to add John Leguizamo's character to the party just because he didn't like the movie that
Right.
he decided to watch on his day off. So, yeah, he's not clearly, you know, the most straight line, straightforward thinker as we would like to think in that sense. But obviously and clearly, because Anya Taylor-Joy's character was able to figure out the trick, I guess, if you would, in terms of being able to get herself off that island and ordering something that would appeal to the humble beginnings of Chef and where he started from. So, and to ask for it to go, that was pretty smart of her. So,
And
yeah.
she figured out the correct button to push there.
Right.
She was definitely
Yeah.
treading very shaky ground, and you can tell even if she's doing it, she's like, God, please let this work. Dear God, if this doesn't work, I'm screwed. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, and like, you know, he has his mom there, and he's taking her out.
The one person I get, but at the same time, if there's one person in that room other than Anya Taylor-Joy, because her character wasn't supposed to be there,
Right.
that the only other person in the room that I'm like, I don't know that I quite get the motivation of why he wanted to
I
kill
think I know what you're gonna say.
was the wife of the couple.
The guy who was cheating on his wife.
Yeah, like,
Okay.
I mean, at one point he also, like, the chef points out the fact that, hey, it's like you come here too much, like you're
Right.
you know,
You're
but
just flaunting your money.
but that still seemed more directed at him and not the two of them as a couple.
Correct.
And so in
He
the
did
context-
ask her, like, what would you have last time or something? Well, he asked him, and she
Yeah.
said, how, you know, some fish, and he was like, no, it was this.
Yeah, okay.
She just
yeah,
couldn't
that's true. There
remember
was that scene.
anything, you know. They were too wrapped
Yeah.
up in their own thing to actually enjoy the meal that they were being given. And this privilege of however many people he said actually get to do this every year, and they've
Yeah.
done it so many times. So, yeah, he was
Yeah, 'cause
like,
if the restaurant only
you're both
serves
complicit in that.
exactly. The restaurant only serves what 16 or 20 people ever.
Yeah.
So if that's all it can do, and it does this meal 5 nights, and it's plated at what was it, like 1,800 a head?
It was like
something like that.
1,200 a head, I think they say. At one point,
1,200
like
a head.
1,250 a
1,250 a
head.
head. That's right. Like 1,250 a head for a dinner meal, and you've gone there 12 times in, he said, what, a year. That's a lot of money, and so it's clearly not about the money for them. It's the prestige of going. They don't really care about the food either. They clearly don't
Yeah.
care about the food.
Right.
They're going because they want to say, well, we've been there like 12 times this year,
Right.
so like that's
Yeah.
they're not there to enjoy it. They're not there for the experience of it. They didn't even take the tour of the island because they've done it so many times. So for them, it was just another night. Whatever. Who cares? We don't care what we're eating. We're just eating food.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
David, I thought who you were going to say was the assistant to John Leguizamo's character, because apparently her only crime was the fact that she didn't use student loans to go to school. Like, how do you know she didn't just work a second job to pay for herself? He didn't
I
do
think
any
that was
follow up
just
questions.
further-
It was just,
I think that was further justification. Like she was embezzling money from John Leguizamo. She was stealing his
Yeah.
money.
Right.
He knew about it though. He's like, yeah, I know. I've been letting you do it.
right,
Like,
and
F
she
it,
knew
who
that he'd
cares?
do about it.
Right. So she's like, yeah, I know. Obviously, you don't care, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. So
Right.
she's not the
Yeah.
best person, but she's not the worst person there for
No,
sure. She's
No.
not the worst person there. But the whole idea is that like there's two classes here. There's the haves and the have-nots, and he, for him, he's just like student loans, and she's like, no. He's like, you're in the have, sister. Done.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need to hear anymore to justify his classifications. He's like, done. You're over there. That's it. I'm out. Like he
It's-
yeah. It was a very
It's
quick
pretty
judgment.
interesting when I think about it now. Between this movie and Triangle of Sadness, which I watched, and White Lotus and Succession, there does seem to be an overall theme now of going after the elite and the people who have, in terms of turning an eye on them and really kind of putting them under the microscope in terms of their motivations and what kind of people they are underneath all this wealth and status that they have, which is, I find interesting that we're in that point in terms of storytelling right now.
Well, I think film and TV are a big reflection of what's happening in society at the time. And I
Yeah.
think right now we're having a huge turning point, and it have been for years. It's been building. I think it's going to build for a while longer. But basically, we're turning the lens back on people with the money right now, and we're questioning them and their motives and what they do and who they are as people. And it's great. You have all this money. Have you done any good things with this money? Like, have you done this? Have you done that? Are you stealing from the poor to keep getting richer? Like, it's like this whole ethical debate about the haves and the have-nots right now, and it's building. I feel like, not to get political, but like the divide in our country right now, it's the middle class is disappearing, and it is slowly, quickly, I don't know, medium speed, I don't know, but our country is, with the middle class disappearing, the haves and have-nots are becoming more and more obvious, I think. And it's causing issues. So it's getting
It's
reflected now in our art.
interesting. Yeah, and definitely that seems to be a running theme for sure, which like you said, I think it will continue for a little while.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I found, David, you mentioned in terms of something's sort of been the level of believability. And I felt like the only thing that really, for me, just kind of made me think about it after it happened. As it happened, I didn't, think too much about it. But it was when she gets free and she radios for help. And then you got the officer, the Coast Guard guy or whatever, who comes in and he's basically telling everybody, situations under hand, and he gets the chef down on his knees, and everybody's like under arrest, so to speak. And then it turns out that he was actually another cook. And it's like, how do you plan for that in a way that, so he knew, like, how at what point could he have planned for that? He did not plan for Anya Taylor-Joy to be there in the first place. So he had to have at some point figured he would let her get loose enough to where she knew she would be curious enough to go to his place to then radio for help, who then would go and have this other cook come in and pretend to be an officer. It's like, I don't know if all that tracks
Yeah.
necessarily.
That one was definitely the stretchiest of
Yeah.
of situations for sure. I mean, like, did he keep that one as like a backup plan? Is like, okay, so let's say
If someone
somebody
gets free.
gets out.
Yeah.
Who knows who? But somebody gets out. We're going to Plan F. Plan F is going to go into effect instead of Plan E. We're gonna do that, and like I don't know. Who knows? You know, he's the criminal mastermind psychopath at this point. Whatever. So, but no, I'm with you. It was kind of like this was a big what if scenario for the evening. Like a lot of them were kind of plausible. And I was like, this is a bit of a stretch, but we're gonna roll with it.
Yeah, I guess if I had to have an argument or a reason for like how that would make sense, that tracks. Because also
Yeah.
you had the scene right where they're all given a chance to like go out and run away. They get a head start. You know, maybe he also was like, yeah, maybe one of the people who runs away will like run into the house and call, and like he always was like, I'm gonna have this, like you just said, is it's gonna be there. We may not use it. We may not need this guy in a boat, but you know,
It's a little backup. We're just
Little
gonna
backup.
a little insurance plan to make sure that nobody gets off this island.
Right. But
But-
I'm with you. It is because I mean, as the scene started too, even though obviously it wasn't real at first, I'm like, if this is real, I'm going to be annoyed. It was the first moment of the movie that I was like, if this is actually a guy from the Coast Guard, I'm going to be like, seriously, this guy would not walk into a room alone. He wouldn't be by himself.
Right.
I'm like, so when it was, revealed that obviously it was fake, I was like, thank God. Because
Yeah, 'cause there's like at least four dudes on that boat.
I was going to
yeah.
be like, finally, I'm to a point where now this is ridiculous.
jumping a shark.
Like, we have jumped the shark of this film, but luckily that wasn't the case.
I was sitting there thinking though, I was like, what an absolute mind F for those poor people. Like
Right.
sitting in that room, like the moment of like, oh my God, we're gonna be saved. This is going to happen.
It
and then
built
for
tension
not
really well.
like talk about having your head like just I mean, talk about all hope is lost at that point. Like you'd be like, the psychopath did this specifically to fuck with our heads. Like
Yeah.
oh, it's almost more painful than anything else, honestly, in some ways. It was such a like a wow, you have dangled that little mouse in front of the cat for that was rough.
Yeah.
It's funny too because I felt like I know, David, you sort of mentioned what you felt like the film was about, and for me, I think it's one of those ones where you can draw a lot of different parallels to different things and associate it with one thing, and for me, one of the messages I think I pulled from it was that there's all these different things and experiences in life that are the ingredients to the meal that is your life. And depending on how you treat these ingredients can make the meal either good or bad, or in this case, make your life good or bad. And you have to take stock of those things that you're doing. And in the way that they would show everyone being who are making these meals, how meticulous they were and how careful they were with the ingredients and how everything has to be just so in order to make the meal come together properly. And then you have these people who I felt like, oh, well, these are the people in this ingredients that are making this dinner. And so they're all partially bad ingredients. And so they have this bad, outcome. So it's interesting. I think that there's so many different ways to read the movie and what it can stand for.
Oh, for sure. I think that's one of the best parts of it. Is I feel like there's a little
Yeah.
there's a couple of messages, and you can kind of pick and choose what you think is the more poignant thing based on what you enjoyed the most.
Right.
It's funny too. Yeah, I think one of the things I think that, well, one of the definite things that gravitated me towards it in terms of liking it was just that it was different. I couldn't really tell where it was all going. So I always enjoy when movies are like that, where they're just different. And one of the things that I thought that um, was interesting was how I can't remember who asked the question or whatever, but they were. I think it might have been John Leguizamo, and he was like, "Well, why are you doing this or whatever?" And then he kind of lays it out like essentially, you guys are here for these reasons or whatever. But then he also says something to the effect of like, "You must on some level know that you deserve this because you probably could have overtaken us because there's more of you guys than there are of us." And it's essentially true when you see at some point they've resigned themselves to their fate when they're
Mm-hmm.
willingly putting on these marshmallow vests and are okay with just going ahead and dying. It's like they really feel like they're not good people in some regard, for that they wouldn't be completely willing to do everything in their ability to fight for their survival.
Yeah, because I mean, even the one scene where the rich husband tries to leave,
Hmm.
none of those people that he kind of got walled up against had weapons.
Yeah,
Later they went
exactly.
and got a knife and cut his finger off. But at the time, they didn't have weapons. I mean, they were larger
Yeah,
dudes for sure. But like,
yeah,
it's one of those things. It's like, well, hell, if half the people in this restaurant got up and went towards that wall of what, three guys that were kind of, I mean,
yeah,
again, they were bigger. I'm not gonna lie, but if half of them went up against them, they could have shoved them down. They would have all been able to easily push through if they really wanted. If they really were like, holy crap, we just thought, dude, blow his brains out. We're out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. If we all came together, they could have gone through. I mean, I don't know how far they have gotten.
yeah,
There was only that one little rowboat, but like
Right.
it
right,
could
right.
have happened.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
it's like you said. There was no major weapons there. Like there was no guns per se, or none actually, other than the one that turned out to be a lighter. And the
I
only
mean,
other things, well,
there was
no,
the one guy who shot his who killed
yeah,
himself,
yeah,
but
yeah,
nobody. That's what I mean. Like anybody who was in the way between them and the door did not have a weapon on them. Like they didn't
yeah,
have a knife in the kitchen. They had to go to the kitchen to get a knife. But
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's like it could have been done if they
Yeah,
really wanted
yeah.
to.
Well, do you have any? I guess before we wrap it all up, was there any scene or particular meal that you liked the most in the movie?
Hmm.
How
I
about
would
well?
say,
I was gonna say, let's
oh,
turn
go
on
ahead.
you. If there was a meal, which one of the
Yeah.
courses, which one would you have had? Which course would you have had?
More than likely, I think I would have had the meal that was the I think it was chicken thigh, and it had the scissors in the top, and it was plated on top of a telephone cord that was wrapped around. I
Right.
think that would have probably been the one I would have had. It seemed like the most filling of all the things that
This
they
is
had to
true.
eat, especially the breadless bread. I mean, like, what are you eating there? It's just sauce. So
Great red sauce.
I think for sure that would have been my meal. What would you have had, Michelle?
I probably would have was it Man's Folly, the one after she stabbed the chef in the leg, and then the
Mm-hmm.
men ran and they came back. The women got to eat it. I was
Yeah,
actually looking at it going, yeah, I'd eat that. And the women all seemed to agree, like, this is probably the best one we've had. They were kind of like,
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
this is probably the best course we've had. And I was kind of like, that one looks great.
Dude.
I don't know. Maybe the tacos. I don't know. Like,
The tacos, I don't know what the
The
tacos
guy
are.
who shot himself, and he
Yeah.
was
Oh,
the
that's
one
right,
who
the
made the tacos,
fajitas
right?
with
it's like a
with
chicken
the image.
taco
That's
thing,
right. They
yeah.
had the chicken carnitas
Yeah.
tacos with the images on the
Yeah.
taco shells. That's right. I forgot about that.
The laser
Yeah, so did
etched
I.
tortilla
Yeah.
shells.
I do like a good taco.
Yeah, for sure.
actually does
That was
sound
good.
That was good.
Well, I don't know. I think that's it. I don't have anything
Yeah.
else unless you guys do.
Not really. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it. I have
was
recommended
enjoyable.
it to other people now. It's
Yeah.
it's a good film.
It is. It is enjoyable.
Yep. Just opened what, this weekend or was it last weekend? Or well,
Last
Well, it
weekend.
was
this
last
week, I
weekend.
should
It's
say. Okay.
been
last
it's
weekend.
been out for a week now.
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yep,
It's
so
just
if
a week.
anyone's
I don't
looking
think
for
it's-
something,
Today would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely
And
want to
it
check
was,
out.
It was good timing since it was right before Thanksgiving. I think it was good.
Yeah.
Like you said, Bobby. Like food Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I mean, not that there's plenty to see now in theaters. That's not an
There is.
issue. I mean,
No.
We
Yeah.
are not for a lack of content right now between movie theaters and what's on your TV screen. That is for sure.
right.
There's a lot out there.
Yeah. No,
It's too much.
there's plenty.
Have you caught anything kind of fun recently, Bobby?
Yes. I watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. It was
Just watched that.
so good. I really enjoyed it. Might have even got a little teary-eyed at one part, and I feel like this might be something I wouldn't necessarily watch every single Christmas year, but I definitely could see myself watching this for sure during the holidays at another point in time, because it just was really about 45 minutes or so, and so it's not that long, but it was really a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. What about you? You said you watched it?
Yeah, we watched it. Like,
What'd you
maybe
guys
an
think?
hour before we started
Not
this.
even an hour before this started. Yeah.
I really liked it. I mean, it's about the speed of a special that I was expecting, but it totally
Yeah.
worked. I mean, it was quite good. I could definitely see watching it again almost every year. I mean,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
think with the kids, yeah.
yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, and like it's fun because I think for us it harkens back for our generation to a time in the 80s and 90s when every TV show did a TV holiday special. I mean, and they still kind of do, but like it used to be like a thing. Like it was like must see.
Yeah.
Kind of like the way I think the British still kind of do it where they have their series that maybe only has 6 episodes. And then every now and then they'll get a holiday
Christmas
a
special.
Christmas
Yeah, yeah.
special,
Yeah.
and that's it's a big thing, because they're like it's a continuation, like because for them like they're like oh my gosh it's more,
Like Doctor Who, doesn't he usually do something like that?
exactly.
Yes.
Doctor Who does it, Sherlock did it, like a lot of the UK shows do that, but yeah, back in the 80s and 90s as we were growing up. That
Yeah.
was a thing, there was the Star Wars holiday special. Like there was always like a themed, like like Fraggle Rock had a Christmas special. Like the Muppet, like everybody had a Christmas special. It was like a thing. So it was kind of, it did kind of harken back. Like it was a little cheesy, but still kind of has a good message at its core. And I thought it was fun. And it was like watching PG-13 James Gunn stuff. You're getting fun music, you're getting silly antics kind of taking place. It was totally enjoyable, and yeah, I definitely teared up at one point. I was like, "This is really sweet. This is so nice," and I liked it, and David's kid liked it. They thought it was pretty
Yeah, they
funny,
liked it.
actually. I don't think
Yeah.
they got every joke, but there was definitely some that they
Yeah.
thought were quite hilarious.
The only thing I'll say is, and obviously we're not talking about spoilers for it, but I mean, it's not a bad thing. I was like, Groot looks like,
This awkward like college years.
and I guess I get it because he's kind of like, we all get this awkward phase, right? And maybe that's kind of what they're going for here. But like, even just the look of him, at first I was like, it almost looks like someone in a suit. It
I
doesn't
think it actually was.
like, it was kind of weird.
I
Like,
think
I'm not
it
saying I
actually
dislike
was.
it, but it was odd. There's something odd about his look. So that's
I
all.
imagine that's how he'll look in the movie too, because
Right.
they filmed this concurrently as he was filming Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So that's how they had the sets for a lot of the stuff.
Right,
So
it was
they
already
were-
there, yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine that's his look. So at least you'll it won't catch you off guard, I suppose, once Guardians 3 comes out. You'll kind of and plus it'll be more, because you can definitely tell, well, I won't say definitely tell, but there is a difference in the look of seeing it on Disney Plus as opposed to what the film quality will look like in a theater for the actual movie itself. There's definitely like um, I won't say TV quality to it, but you could see that it wasn't quite like how it would be in the movie for sure. So I
Right.
think maybe some of that will look a little bit better once it is in the movie because it'll probably be more CGI looking to a certain degree than how, like you said, David, it kind of looks like someone's in a suit in this way that it looked on in this special. But
Yeah,
I guess we'll see soon.
I think that purposely he made it look like an old school TV Christmas special, very networky special. And so yeah, like there's not a lot of effects. I mean, there is effects, but there's not a lot going on, I think, in the characters for sure. But yeah, Groot's definitely like in this like I'm in my early 20s and I'm awkward and big and muscular kind of, and I'm still figuring things out because we're so used to the last couple times we see him, he's been in that like early teenage years where he's somewhere between like 14 and 16ish as a human, if you were to compare the way he's acting all angsty and like I'm gonna listen and play on my games and stuff. And now he's like, oh, I'm a little bit older, but I'm still like, a little clumsy and rocky. But yeah, it definitely looked like it was a dude in a suit.
And there was an end credit scene, so if anyone does watch
Yeah,
it,
we
there's
did watch that one.
credits.
Just hang out till the end of the credits.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time I'd seen Disney Plus go skip credits. That button.
Yeah.
And I was
I
like,
saw that too. I was like, wait, what?
I'm like, huh? I mean, what we've talked about before. I tend to watch credits anyway.
Yeah.
Call me weird. So like, I just ignored it and we just watched the credits and listened to the music and enjoyed it, and then watched the scene. But when I saw that button, I was like, well, I mean, I expected a scene anyway because it's a Marvel thing.
Yeah.
But that felt like it confirmed. I'm like, for it to say skip credits, there must be a scene at the end. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd recommend it. If you like Guardians, you like Marvel stuff, you like Christmas time, it's enjoyable.
Definitely.
It's enjoyable.
It's still nice to hear. It's still nice to hear the actual rocket because, like, we just rode the ride again at Epcot like a week ago, and I'm like, I still like it blows me away.
Like, y'all couldn't get Bradley Cooper into a sound booth for an hour?
What was the
Yeah,
deal
we
that
know
you
it.
couldn't get him to do
You
this?
kidding
Like,
me? I don't even think that's really what's his name for Groot.
yeah, I was wondering about that. That could be or it couldn't be, but that's also like you could fake that more easily, right? Like
A little bit.
anybody
There
could
was-
do. No offense to Vin Diesel, but
There was a few times the lines came out, and I was like, "That was a weird I am Groot. That doesn't sound like Vin Diesel's I am Groot. That was so weird. Like it was
Right,
so like,
but-
wait a
but
second."
Rocket
But
sticks
Rocket's
out like
totally-
a sore thumb,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, on that ride, it for sure does, and it's
Yeah.
just frustrating because the whole time you're just going, "Y'all really couldn't lock Bradley Cooper in a sound booth."
It wouldn't even take that long. There's not a lot of
Literally-
lines.
Literally anywhere in the world for like 30 minutes to an hour at most. You just couldn't lock him into a. No, nobody could do. Like,
Did he have a
That- what
I
ride
will
is
never
that?
work? The Guardians of the Galaxy, the Cosmic Rewind.
Cosmic Rewind at Epcot.
Okay.
And Epcot.
Orlando.
Because I know that they do have him for the old Tower of Terror one, the one that just dropped.
Yeah,
the one
I think
you
that
have
was
out
his
there in
voice
California
for that one,
Adventure.
so, yeah. He was probably not getting paid enough to do the new one, so he was like, nah, I'm good with the one I did.
Yes.
I guess. I mean,
I don't get it, man.
I feel like for going into a sound studio for like, an hour, how much money do you need thrown at you?
Have you ever seen him do the voice?
I think I did see a clip of it
I've
once.
seen like behind the scenes one
Yeah.
time.
Because I think I might have like maybe once too, but I can't remember it at this point. But it's if I didn't know, I wouldn't know because I've never heard Bradley Cooper affect his voice in that way before to have ever even thought.
It is
Oh, I
interesting. It is
agree.
interesting.
Like when I first, we knew it was him before the first movie came out.
Yeah.
And then when we first heard his voice, I was like, "That's Bradley Cooper." Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't. I'm with you.
No, it is a bit of an aback the first time,
Yeah.
really. Yeah. And it's funny because like I think so much I see, you see him in a film, you see him do like TV interviews and stuff. But one time I listened to him on a podcast. It was an interview podcast. And it was just interesting listening to his voice on there. I'm like, how'd this dude do Rocket? Like, it's just Bradley Cooper's voice is very distinctive. And it's like, I don't know. I was just going, how did this guy how did he come up with this character's voice? It's very unique.
And he's a great actor, but there's something about hearing that voice. It doesn't seem like he's the kind of actor that would do that kind of voice. Like
Totally.
I don't know. I mean, again, I'm saying that very talented guy, so it seems.
Clearly, yeah.
But yeah, when I first heard his voice, part of me was like, is that really him? Or like,
you're just pulling one over us on a...
I almost didn't believe it.
It just makes you feel like he possibly, if he has any other things in his repertoire, that he could easily transition to being a voice actor. And I think he would probably be really good at it in terms of actually voice acting, because typically speaking, we get these animated movies and they're filled with big name Hollywood stars and they're just using their own voice. They're not even doing anything different. And I feel like at least with him, he could probably give you a different voice for a different character and be really good at it.
Maybe. I sure wish they used him at Epcot for,
Maybe if we complain enough,
10
that
whole
one day
lines.
we'll
Right.
just still get him to do the dialogue. And
It's like 10 lines at
Well,
most.
if Bob Iger was in charge, that would have never have happened.
That is
No, I'm
very
just kidding.
true.
He probably was in charge when it happened, but
he probably
Chapek
was.
is
Yeah, it probably
actually,
was the time, yeah.
you know,
Because, that ride was planned out a long time ago.
yeah, exactly.
anyways, yeah, I guess we're going to wrap things up. Unless anybody's got anything else. No, if not, as always, we would love to hear back from you guys, everyone listening and watching. Please email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified whenever we go live or post any videos in the future. And you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at flicker_effect. With that,
To be determined.
to be determined. With that,
TBD.
I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Michelle Allard.
Thanks for listening and watching, everybody. Bye-bye.